Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into Autobiography of a Yogi. This book, one of you suggested it and just skimming through it. Wow, it's full of incredible stories.
It's not just a biography, though, is it? It really explores, what humans are capable of and that search for something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. The book tells the story of Paramahansa Yogananda, a yogi who was really important in bringing Kriya Yoga to the West back in the early 1900s. But there's so much more to it. We're talking childhood visions, miraculous healings, encounters with saints who just bend the laws of nature. It's wild.
You know, one of the things that really struck me is how Yogananda takes these personal stories and weaves in these deep philosophical ideas. He's not just telling stories. He's using them to show us truths about consciousness, the power of our will, and how everything is connected.
Okay, let's break it down a bit. The book starts with Yogananda's childhood in India. Even as a kid, he felt this intense pull towards the Himalayas, like that spiritual heart of India. He had visions. And this picture of a famous yogi, Lahiri Mahasaya, is this picture was radiating spiritual energy in his house.
I think those early experiences show us something that we all share, that human need to connect with something beyond our daily lives, that longing for a deeper purpose, a deeper meaning. Yogananda's childhood, it almost foreshadows the extraordinary path he ends up taking.
There's this one story that really grabbed me. Yogananda is a kid, he's praying for kites, and then boom, they just fall out of the sky. I mean, it's like a scene from a movie.
It is a powerful story, and it's not just about getting kites. It speaks to the potential of what we can do with our intentions, like the ability to connect with something bigger and make things happen. Of course, in yoga, it's not about material stuff. It's about aligning what you want with what, the universe wants.
Then the book takes a bit of a darker turn. He has this vision of his mother's death, and sadly, it comes true. The way he describes it really blurs the lines between what's physical and what's spiritual.
Yeah, that's a theme that comes up again and again in the book. Yogananda challenges how we usually see reality. He suggests that what we think is solid and fixed might be way more fluid, more interconnected than we realize. He wants us to consider that maybe consciousness, maybe it's not just stuck inside our bodies.
This brings us to one of the most mind-blowing parts, the story of Swami Paramahansa, the saint with two bodies. Yogananda hears about this yogi who can, apparently, be in two places at once, and this sparks his search for his own guru, his own spiritual guide.
Being in two places at once, we call that bilocation, and I mean, from how we usually understand things, it sounds impossible. But the book keeps describing it. It makes you ask, what are the limits of what our minds can do? If someone like Paramahansa could break those limits, what does that tell us about our own potential?
So then we meet Sri Yukteswar Giri, Yogananda's guru. This is the wise teacher he's been searching for. Their first meeting is intense. And it's through Sri Yukteswar that Yogananda is initiated into Kriya Yoga. He describes this overwhelming experience of light and bliss. It sounds like a total life changer.
And this is where the book really dives into Kriya Yoga. It's described as this technique that can accelerate spiritual growth. And it does this by controlling prana, which is this vital life source. And it does this through specific breathing techniques.
So wait, are you saying that just by controlling my breath, I could tap into these amazing states of consciousness and get spiritual insights? That's pretty wild.
Right. Kriya Yoga is about more than just breathing deeply. It's about calming the mind, reaching higher states of awareness, and ultimately realizing your true self. Yogananda describes it as a scientific method to reach self-realization, a way to directly experience that oneness between your soul and the universal spirit.
Hold on. We've been using this term Kriya Yoga a lot. For anyone who's not familiar, could you break it down simply?
Okay, think of your breath as a bridge, connecting your body to your inner world. Kriya Yoga gives you specific techniques, mainly about controlling your breath and focusing your mind, that help you cross that bridge. It calms the mind and expands your awareness. It's a path to unlock this huge potential that we all have inside.
That's a great way to put it. The book is just packed with stories of saints and yogis doing things that seem like miracles. It really makes you wonder, what's possible if we can tap into this deeper part of ourselves?
Autobiography of a Yogi keeps pushing the limits of what we think is possible. A great example is the perfume saint. This guy, he was, get this, a tiger tamer who became a mystic, and he could supposedly make sense appear, heal people, and even cheat death.
Wait, hold on. Make sense appear. How is that even possible?
That's the million-dollar question, right? The book links these incredible feats to the power of human will. It suggests that through deep spiritual practice, people can reach a level of consciousness that lets them, influence the laws of nature as we know them.
It's like they're tapping into a power source that most of us have no clue about, right? Mind-blowing.
Exactly. And it challenges us to rethink what we believe about reality and what humans can really do. We'll dive deeper into these ideas as we continue exploring Yogananda's incredible journey.
I'm already hooked. This is just the beginning, folks. And I can't wait to see where this deep dive takes us. Stick around, because things are about to get even more fascinating.
So let's talk about Yogananda's trip to America. Leaving his home, going to a totally different culture to share these ancient teachings, that was a bold move.
It's like he was like a spiritual bridge between East and West. But it wasn't always smooth sailing, right?
Yeah,
The book mentions how nervous he was about public speaking, especially in English. It wasn't his native language.
I get that. Public speaking is tough for anyone, right? Let alone when you're trying to explain these like profound ideas in a language you're still learning.
Exactly. And then the book describes how his guru, Sri Yukteswar, helped him from afar. Even helped him give this amazing speech, almost like miraculously. It shows that deep connection between a guru and their student.
For sure. That guru-student bond is like a foundation of yoga. It's about trust, surrender, knowing that the guru wants the best for you, even when their methods seem, well, a little unusual.
One story that really stands out from this time is when Yogananda meets Therese Neumann. She's this Catholic woman in Germany who people said had the stigmata wounds that mirrored Christ's crucifixion. It's a pretty intense image. How does that fit into Yogananda's message?
That meeting really highlights something that runs through the whole book. The idea that spiritual experiences are universal. Yogananda didn't just stick to one tradition. He met with saints and mystics from all kinds of backgrounds, showing that there are many paths to the divine. He even spent time at a self-realization fellowship in California.
So he's saying it's not about following a specific religion or dogma, but about that inner connection to something divine, that universal spirit that goes beyond all boundaries.
Precisely. And what's even more interesting is that Yogananda emphasizes that these experiences aren't just for a chosen few.
Yeah.
He believed that everyone, regardless of their background or beliefs, has the potential for self-realization.
That's pretty empowering. It's not about being special. It's about recognizing the divinity that's already within us. Which brings us to Yogananda's main mission in America. He wasn't just there to share stories. He was there to teach Kriya Yoga as a practical path to, like, spiritual awakening.
And he saw a world that really needed this awakening. He felt that humanity had become obsessed with material things, with conflict, and had lost touch with something bigger. He believed that Kriya Yoga could bridge that gap, help people find inner peace and connect with their true nature.
It wasn't just about personal transformation, right?
Right.
He also saw it as a way to change society.
Right. He believed that when individuals awaken, it creates a ripple effect, leading to a world that's more harmonious and compassionate. And he wasn't alone in this. He was actually good friends with Luther Burbank, a famous horticulturist. Burbank saw the potential of yoga to bring about world peace.
It's like that saying, inner peace leads to outer peace, that changing yourself can help create a more peaceful world. But let's circle back to those amazing stories about saints and yogis doing what seemed like miracles. You mentioned the perfume saint earlier. Any others that really stuck with you?
One that comes to mind is the story of Afzal Khan, a Muslim wonder worker. This guy could make objects appear and disappear. He had incredible power. But he didn't listen to his master's warnings and use that power for himself. And in the end, he lost it all.
It's like a warning, a reminder that spiritual power comes with responsibility. It's not a game. What's the takeaway there for us?
It shows how important it is to have strong ethics and the right intentions. Spiritual power without proper guidance and a focus on serving others, well, it can be misused and ultimately lead to your downfall.
Speaking of guidance, Yogananda's devotion to his guru, Sri Yukteswar, is incredible. He constantly asked for his guru's advice, even on small things. That level of commitment is pretty rare, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It speaks to the depth of that guru-disciple relationship. It's a connection built on trust, respect, and a deep understanding that the guru, with all their wisdom and experience, can guide you toward your full potential.
And Sri Yukteswar wasn't just wise. He also had a playful side, didn't he? I remember that story where he's walking with Yogananda by the Ganges River, and there's this group of people bathing, and he uses it as a test of Yogananda's focus.
Oh, yeah. Classic example of the guru using humor to teach a lesson. Yogananda was in this blissful state after a profound spiritual experience and completely missed the bathers. Sri Yukteswar playfully points this out, reminding him that spiritual growth isn't about detaching from the world, but about being fully present in it, with all its complexities, and yeah, even naked bathers.
It's a good reminder that spirituality isn't about escaping reality. It's about incorporating it into our daily lives.
Exactly. Finding that balance between inner peace and being engaged with the world. And that's something Yogananda embodies throughout his journey. He doesn't avoid worldly responsibilities. He tries to find harmony between the material and the spiritual.
And he doesn't pretend that the spiritual path is always easy. There's that sad moment when he goes back to India after years in America and finds out that his beloved guru, Sri Yukteswar, has passed away. It reminds us that loss and grief are a part of life, even for people on a spiritual journey.
But even in that moment of deep sorrow, there's a glimmer of hope. Yogananda sees Sri Yukteswar resurrected, appearing young and radiant. It's a powerful message about how consciousness continues even after death.
It challenges how we normally think about life and death, suggesting that the soul's journey doesn't end when the body dies.
Exactly. It gives us a peek into a realm that goes beyond our limited understanding of time and space. And it's just one of many mind-bending ideas that Autobiography of a Yogi invites us to explore. We've talked about bilocation, the illusory nature of the physical world, the power of human will. Where do we even go from here?
Well, there's still so much to uncover. We haven't even gotten into the specifics of Kriya Yoga, the techniques and principles that Yogananda brought to the West. And there are more incredible stories, more encounters with amazing people that helped him grow and challenged what he thought he knew.
So, our journey through Autobiography of a Yogi isn't over yet. Are you ready to dive even deeper into this world of spiritual exploration and mind-blowing possibilities?
Absolutely. This book has already changed how I think about what's possible, and I can't wait to see what other wonders it holds. All right, it's time we tackled the big one, Kriya Yoga. We've heard all these incredible stories, but I'm still not quite sure what it actually is.
Yeah, we've been circling around. It really is at the heart of the book. So Kriya Yoga, as Yogananda describes it, it's this ancient technique. It uses the breath to control prana, that vital life force that flows through everything. And it involves this specific breathing pattern. You combine that with really focused concentration. And the aim is to quiet the mind and awaken these higher states of awareness.
So it's more than just doing deep breathing exercises. There's a real method to it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a systematic approach to growing spiritually. Yogananda, he often calls it a scientific method for reaching self-realization. That experience where you directly experience that oneness between your individual soul and the universal spirit. He even makes connections between yogic principles and modern science, suggesting that they're coming together on certain things.
That's interesting. Can you give an example of that? How these ancient practices could line up with what modern science is saying?
Well, think about how physics is more and more recognizing that everything is made of energy. That's been a core idea in yogic philosophy for centuries. Yogananda also brings up the work of scientists like Jagadish Chandra Bose. He showed that plants respond to stimuli, suggesting that even things that seem inanimate might have a form of consciousness.
So he's saying science is catching up to ancient wisdom. The things yogis have been saying for ages are now being backed up by modern research.
In a way, yeah. He saw a bridge forming between these two worlds, a recognition that they don't have to be separate, that they can actually support and inform each other.
Okay, I see. But Kriya Yoga is a secret practice, right?
Yeah.
You have to be initiated to learn it. Why all the secrecy?
It's not about being exclusive or keeping it hidden. Yogananda explains that it's a really powerful technique, and it needs the right guidance, the right understanding. He compares it to electricity. It has this huge potential, but it can also be dangerous if you don't handle it properly.
So the initiation is like a safety measure to make sure the student is prepared for how intense the practice can be.
Exactly. It's about making sure the student is ready mentally and ethically to work with the energies that Kriya Yoga can awaken. But beyond Kriya Yoga itself, this book is full of so many thought-provoking ideas.
That's what's been so amazing. It's like every chapter opens up this new layer of understanding. What are some of the key takeaways that you think listeners should really sit with?
One of the biggest ones is this idea that the physical world, the one we experience with our senses, is ultimately an illusion. Yogananda uses these captivating stories, like the one about Babaji materializing and dematerializing a palace, to illustrate this concept.
That story really got to me, too. It's like straight out of a fantasy book.
Yeah.
But it makes you question what's real, doesn't it?
For sure. He's showing us that what we think is solid and unchanging might be way more fluid and changeable than we think.
And then there's that idea of bilocation, being in two places at once. We see examples of this throughout the book, like with Swami Paramahansa. Is there any scientific explanation for this, or is it purely mystical?
Well, science might not fully understand it yet, but quantum physics is starting to point to how everything in the universe is interconnected. So the idea that consciousness isn't limited by the physical body, that it might go beyond space and time, it's not as crazy as it used to sound.
It's like how we understand reality is constantly evolving, and this book encourages us to keep questioning, keep exploring, keep an open mind.
Absolutely. And at its core, Yogananda's message is about hope and empowerment. He reminds us that we're not just physical beings, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have this vast potential inside us waiting to be unlocked.
It's a beautiful message
Yeah.
and so inspiring. To the listener who suggested this book, thank you. Autobiography of a Yogi. It's truly a gift.
And to everyone listening, if this conversation has made you curious, if you feel inspired to explore your own spiritual path, I encourage you to find a teacher, a community, a practice that speaks to you. That journey of self-discovery, it's an adventure worth taking.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Autobiography of a Yogi. We hope you found it enlightening. Until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, keep diving deep. And don't forget to check out www.ultimatemasters.org coaching or WhatsApp us at +256 771324119 for more information. We release new episodes daily, so make sure to subscribe and share this episode with your friends and family who might find it helpful.